Species. Unite.
Species. Unite.
We'd never worked in this industry. We'd not got any prior experience in fashion ourselves, but we thought, how hard could it be? Famous last words. How hard could it be to design a handbag? Turns out very hard, very hard.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Novogratz. This is Species Unite. We have a favor to ask. If you like today's episode and you have a spare minute, could you please rate and review Species Unite on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts? It really helps people to find the show. This conversation is with Natalie Deana. Natalie is a co-founder of Frida Rome. Frida Rome makes vegan luxury handbags. They're designed for bad girls who do good things. Natalie, it is so nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It is wonderful to speak to anyone in the, I guess, field of, what do we call this? Veganism, consciousness, having a kind heart.
Species Unite is a nonprofit. And so we were having a board meeting a couple years ago. And one of our board members, Amrita, came in and she was carrying this cool bag. First, I thought, wow. Is that like, of course it's going to be vegan, but I was like, how does she know about a bag I don't know about? Because I'm constantly researching this stuff. And she had just got it that day and she was so proud of it. And so we were all like oohing and eyeing over the bag. And I was like, I have to find out who these women are. But yeah, it was a cool moment.
It's amazing. How did she find out about it?
She's actually really good and resourceful. And she has kind of gone vegan throughout being part of our board and our community. Part of it is like, I do think, and I didn't used to think this, but I think it more and more since I've been doing Species and we've really grown a community. What I've realized is like a lot of people are just not ready to change what they eat. And maybe they love animals and maybe they're even vegetarian or maybe they're pescatarian. But with fashion stuff, especially like the new and beautiful stuff that's happening now and the eco-friendly and the much, much better plant-based leathers, it's a gateway for certain people. And I've like, we've noticed that a lot in the past couple of years, that people who aren't really changing quite yet food-wise are really responding and want to change what they're carrying, which, you know what, I'll take any gateway. Like if that's what brings you in, why not?
It's funny because, you know, we don't, even though we're aware of cruelty to animals in the fashion industry, it's not as intrinsically connected as to what we put on our plate. So we know when we're eating, I say we, because I don't certainly eat meat, but when people eat meat, they are fully aware of what it is that they're eating. And even though that is a confrontation for them, and I think it's a lot of things, like you say, about people do struggle to change their diet. I think when it comes to clothing or accessories, we sort of just, we've in the past allowed for so much more of that to sort of go unnoticed because it's just not physically there in our presence to be aware of exactly what it is that has enabled that item to be designed and what it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like, no one's sitting there like thinking, oh, I'm carrying somebody's skin. We were never conditioned to think of our shoes as a somebody or our bags as a somebody. And so it's a bigger leap in a lot of ways to break that conditioning. But it's also when you're not trying to break something as personal as food, like people seem to be I'm talking about non-vegans who really are just barely peering into this world. But that's a lot of who we talk to and like to talk to because that we talk, you know, the vegans are great, but they already know. But like, so it's not as personal when it's a handbag or it's shoes because you're not saying you can't eat that. Right? You're saying, try this beautiful thing. And there's something magical about that.
This is what we really set out to do, is showing that wider community we're in agreement with you that we love having customers who aren't vegan, rave about our bags, because it says we're doing that exact thing. It's showing that audience and that consumer that they can have what it is that they love about their designer products, and yet it's going to feel better on their soul by buying something that hopefully to some extent matches that aesthetically in terms of how it looks and everything, but doesn't have that underlying horrendous tone to it.
One thing I was thinking this morning is, like, we really love featuring and focusing on people who are creating not only solutions, but like really beautiful solutions. And the reason for that is, in order to change culture and what people really want, you have to change the good stuff first, and then everything else kind of follows.
Yeah, I mean, we began Free to Roam out of a necessity, in all honesty, because Rebecca and I were both vegan. She went vegan before myself, but I wasn't far behind her, to be honest. I think it was it was an instinctive thing. I knew that I had a calling to do it, basically, and she would say the same. And because of that, I mean, we were fans of obviously big fashion brands. We loved designer items, although we didn't. We've never splurged a lot on that market, but we certainly liked beautiful designer handbags. And so when you go vegan, of course, it's not only a change to your entire diet, it's a change to your wardrobe. And we just found that we couldn't find a brand or identify a brand that we really felt connected to in a way that was, I guess, bridging that gap between affordable luxury, what I'd call affordable luxury, which is what we class ourselves as being, and the vegan movement, that sustainability aspect. So we'd never worked in this industry. We'd not got any prior experience in fashion ourselves, but we thought, how hard could it be? Famous last words. How hard could it be to design a handbag? Turns out very hard, very hard.
Why did you pick handbags, like, as opposed to shoes or coats?
To be honest, we really wanted to not set ourselves up too much to fail by picking an item that was something we love. We do love handbags, admittedly, and the fact that there's no sizing involved. It's hard enough as it is, but when you start looking at sizing on clothing and shoes, footwear, then you've got a whole nother beast to try and overcome. So we started with bags, and that's where we're at the moment. So that was one of the prime reasons why, and also just because it's one of those items that a bag that you love, a bag that you really cherish, it speaks a lot about how you're meant to feel in it. And that's what we've done with Free to Roam. Is we're all about wanting our customers to feel their best inside and out when they carry their bag. And people will know that. People will look at your handbag and go, oh, I really like that,
I want to talk about how the two of you started. And I watched Dragon's Den. Yes, most of our audience is US. So will you talk about what Dragon's Den is?
Sure. Dragon's Den is an institution of a show that is by the BBC. And it's for budding entrepreneurs like ourselves to pitch your idea, pitch your company to 5 huge, very terrifying magnates, multimillionaires, billionaires, and you basically go into a room that feels intimidating, and you stand there and you pitch your idea to them, and you hope to walk away with a form of investment, essentially. So they will grill you, and they will ask you all the questions that you will panic and sweat about answering. And it's really a challenging experience, but it's essentially a reality TV show built on businesses.
We have Shark Tank. It's very similar to Shark Tank. But I think the people in Dragon's Den are a lot scarier.
Oh, really?
Yes. I haven't watched a lot of Shark Tank, but Dragon's Den stressed me out.
It's true, because everybody there has a very resting sort of like stern face. So, it is very intimidating to walk into that room and look at them. And they're sort of sat lower than you, which in a way feels like it should be less it should be more inferior by them doing that, but it doesn't. They're relaxed back in these chairs, and you're sort of stood there, going weak at the knees and kind of just like trembling. And they do not. They're so stoic. It's unbelievable, and they can be tough cookies to break. I have to say. But the show, what you see on the television is obviously only a snippet. It's a sort of 13 minutes, I think, of airtime that you actually see, but we were in the room with them for almost 2 hours. So
how it works is each person decides whether or not they're going to invest in you. And the first 4 were like, no. And I was like, oh, this is horrible. I mean, I already knew the answer, but I was still like, I hate these people. And then finally, yes. What did that feel like?
It was amazing because we just thought at each of those steps we would probably get eliminated. We just didn't, because we were so young as a business, we weren't expecting anything. We literally just went in there thinking, oh, well, let's see what happens. But you just don't expect that kind of result would have been on the table. So it was really nice to have, one of them actually see what we could become and what we are trying to achieve. But obviously the show is crafted in a way to give you the very stern, no, it's not for me, no, it's not for me. The show is crafted to show you the sort of stern no's, the shutting down for dramatic effect. Actually, all of the dragons had something nice to say about our products and the brand. And honestly, that was, for us, all we could ask for was for them to be so complimentary as they were about the product, the quality, and everything else. Even though they didn't want to put their money on the table, it was nice enough and it was good enough for us to just walk away with them actually endorsing what it was we were doing.
It was more because you actually got the money too, which is huge. I want to talk about what's inside your bag because no one does this and it's so different. Will you tell the story of the stories that go in the bags?
Okay, so yes, what we do in our products is our little added USP, if you will, or our signature detail is that in each of our handbags is an erotic story chapter. It's taken from a full-length sort of short story, I would say, of erotic literature that I've written. And each of the stories, depending on what bag you purchase, each of the bags has a story that represents or is thematically linked to the name of the bag. So, for example, the weekend bag has a story chapter and a story that's linked to it that is about a weekend romance away in New York. And the weekday is has a story about a office liaison. So it's crazy, and you're right. As far as we know, no one else is doing this. I get asked this a lot. Where did this idea come from? And I can honestly say that I don't want to, I really don't consider myself at all creatively a genius. I just sat there one day. Rebecca, my business partner, and I, we were chatting away about what we were going to do with the bags. And it just literally came to me. I thought, I'm very visual in my mind. So I just envisaged having a beautiful handbag that for all intents and purposes was, it's cruelty free. It's all about being good on the outside in terms of its ethics. But as a vegan, I'm not 100% an angel. I'm not a saint. So I'm like, this is me as well. I have a very, naughty side. I'm not particularly shy, as we say. And so I figured, why not do something like that? And that's exactly it just came to my mind. I literally went, I'm going to write an erotic story and we'll put that in the bag. And Rebecca went, I love that idea.
Which is why the two of you are such good partners. Explain how the story or the chapter of the story is in the bag.
Yeah, at the moment, this is something that I have dreams of creating much more, visually interpreting this. But at the moment, what we have is the chapter is on a beautiful woven label that is also made from recycled materials. It looks like a written piece, like as if you would see a a page in a book. It's written out exactly like that on a stunning, as I said, eco-friendly label, and that is attached inside the bag on the back pocket. So it's quite discreet. So you don't have to be frightened that everybody's going to see it necessarily if you want to keep it to yourself. But it's also a really great conversation starter, and it's one of them things that if you get a peer inside the bag or you want to show a friend and they have a little read of it, it is great to have, just to know that it's there, and it's pretty. It's tasteful, but it is also, it's upfront.
What do people say, like, when they get the bags? Do they say things about the stories?
It's funny that, because we wondered, we were like, what will this be something that people also get on board with? And sure enough, yeah, the numbers show that the majority of our customers want the Sinner option. So we do have, I'll explain. So we actually have the bags, two options. You can buy the bag with the story inside it, and that we call the Sinner. And if you buy the bag without the story, it's called the Saint. So the Saint or the Sin version of the bag is what's available. Because we did find we had customers come to us saying, I'd like to buy this bag for my mum, but I don't think I should be sending it.
But it was funny because even on Dragon's Den, even though it made a couple people a little uncomfortable, you could tell everybody was really like into it and a little fascinated by it.
So a lot of our customer base as well have been men, and men love to buy it for their partners, wives, etc. And we find that beautiful as well, that they will actually embrace a woman's sexuality in that sense and say, she's going to love this, my partner's going to love this. And that's also really wonderful, because they can see that they're doing something that is not only gifting something to their partner, but showing them that they love them in a way that is liberating for us women. So
it's sexy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you have the tagline, bad girls who do good things, before or after the stories?
Bad girls who do good things was a tagline we came up with even before the brand really started to flourish with Free to Roam. And it was, I guess, the cheekier side, the more kind of out there arm to what we want to grow as a big empire, essentially. We want to take over the world with cruelty-free brands. We are vegan. We want to give animals a voice. We want to do what's best for the environment as best we can, but we're also not saints. And we embrace that side of ourselves. We embrace the fact that we are contradictory. We know we can't be 100% perfect in everything that we do. So it's about not losing that part of your personality. It's about not losing that sense of who you are, just because you want to do what's right for the planet and animals, I guess.
It brings in kind of a sense of, look, indulgence is okay, right? Like, kind of the old school version of vegan is such a limiting term. And especially for people who are older, they're kind of afraid of it a little bit. Like, there's such connotations around it. I love that you call it that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And again, I think that also just enables anyone who's curious to not feel like you've got to suddenly fall into line to be this perfect vegan who's so anarchist and I don't get me wrong, I applaud the people that are out there fighting the good fight in such a way that we need that in order for change. We want people to still feel like it's okay to indulge. It's okay to enjoy something of luxury now and again.
Talk about what the bags are made of.
We were fortunate to be coming into the market at a point where the plant-based leathers were starting to become, I guess, a known thing. So we avoid anything to do with PVC. So we currently make our bags with cactus leather or apple leather. And what that is basically made up of is, I'll talk about cactus specifically, but the same applies to kind of apples as well, it's a byproduct from the food industry. So the product is made natively in Mexico, where the cacti are grown. It's made from something called the nopal cactus, like a prickly pear. And they're grown in abundance. And the beauty of it is that it doesn't need a lot of water. The plant itself, when it is harvested for the use of food primarily and then taken into the leather as well, is that it doesn't harm the plant either. So they take off the older leaves and the new ones continue to grow. It doesn't stunt the growth or kill the plant by doing so. And they take the product and obviously they're extracting what they need from it in terms of for food purposes, sometimes skincare as well. And then the leftover, I guess, pulp or product then gets dried, sun-dried, and then it's turned into it's ground down into like a powdery substance, and then it becomes into a resin. And they use a very fine layer of PU to actually seal it and make it look like leather, and obviously for its durability and stuff like that. So it's not a completely virginal product in terms of it only being plant derived.
We can't really do that yet because everything would just fall apart and rot.
That's right. That's right. And I think there's a famous quote out there, I say famous, but a well-known quote I read about Stella McCartney, who said, you know, a lot of vegan leathers do get stick for being chemical based and the fact that they have this longevity, and that's because they're made with plastics. She argued the fact that if you took real leather, and the reason why it lasts so long, if it was just its raw product that didn't get affected by chemicals, it would start rotting in your wardrobe. So, you know, we're often fooled into thinking, oh, it's much more natural to do this, etc. But no, tanning is so heavily chemical based.
And the very worst vegan leather is still better for the environment than any animal leather. Even the terrible stuff that was used, 10 years ago is still much better than animal leather.
Yeah, right.
And certainly for the animals, but for the planet.
Yeah, I mean, we don't often take into consideration the whole process from start to finish. Did people like to focus in on the aspects that are added in to create such a thing? But if you really look at from start to finish, a cow's life right from the beginning, all the water usage, all of the resources used for that animal, right the way through, it's extortionate. It's just exactly how much of an impact that has on the environment. Than to say, a plant that is taken down to this degree and added a bit of chemical aspect to it, it just doesn't weigh up. But we often get that argument thrown at us, I guess, and we're just going to come up with that constantly. But so that's what we're working with. We're also exploring looking at some recycled PU as well. So anything where there's that not adding to the chain again of new all the time. We are also exploring other alternatives. Right. We will take that time and energy to make sure that what we're working with holds up as far as our ethics and also has the aesthetic that the customer is after.
You started with one bag. What was behind that?
We aren't about mass producing. We're not about trying to follow trends. We're not interested in jumping on, it's got to be this now. Everybody's looking for this type of bag and that's not of interest to us. We're not a flash in the pan type business. We want everybody to invest in a piece, love it, and feel like it's something that they will continue to wear as seasons change, as trends change. It's got to have that timeless element for us because we know that it is an investment. It doesn't come cheap to make something that is sustainable and vegan friendly. It has to be something that people are going to feel like they're spending their money on, and it will live on for an extended period of time for them. And for us, as in general, I've never been someone that would just jump on a trend.
Aside from the fact that you're vegan and you're sustainable, and part of being minimal in how many products you have, it's part of your ethos, right? Like people, like getting people to stop needing 22 different handbags. That's where the world really needs to change as much as anywhere else, right? You don't need 19 of this and 27 of that, which is where we've been since the 90s and getting worse and worse. And so it's a real statement of like, here's our beautiful bags, and you have the choice between this or this or this. I think it's brilliant, and it's as important as the bags themselves.
I mean, look, the beauty of our iconic bag, as you say, that it's become iconic, I should say.
Yeah.
The Weekend, our first bag we started with, is that it does have this element to it that you can pull it apart. You can break it down into different panels, like all the panels come apart so that it can actually you can travel with it without it being crushed in a suitcase or another bag. With that as well, what we did and what we developed early on was realizing that because of the fact that we can take the panels off, you can interchange them. So we created, so far we have one beautiful, it's called a faux shearling panel made from a sustainable recycled cotton. And that you put that on the front of your bag and it completely changes the look to like this retro 70s festival vibe automatically. So you're not
super
actually,
cool.
as a, you know, when we're saying to a customer, you can buy 2 bags in one here just by adding on a panel, as opposed to having to buy so many other bags.
It looks like a totally different bag.
It really does.
Where are you guys kind of now, and what's the bigger picture look like?
Oh, we're going big. I mean,
I hope so.
We want to go big. We have dreams and aspirations now to open up a store. We really want to have a shop front, a boutique store. I know that they sort of, there's a theory that bricks and mortar is a little bit dead or the high street's dying, but I actually think we're going back the other way a little bit now.
Yeah.
I think as well, especially being local or small business, people love a boutique. And so that's our next step, I guess. So we'll continue creating the bags. We have got the potential to release a couple of other special things coming out towards the end of this year. Just to add on, really, I guess things that customers have also come to us asking for. So that's all in the pipeline, different things, including potentially a what we call the sapphic version of a story, because our at the moment our stories inside the bags are hetero skewed, I guess, but we've had a lot of interest from people wanting, you know, the female combo. So we're open to all sorts of options there. So that's another thing we're looking at. But yeah, in terms of big picture stuff, the idea is to next go into having our own store. And as I said, it's going to be more like a concept store. It'll be somewhere where people can come, enjoy a glass of Prosecco or champagne, get chatting. Maybe we'll have some live erotic story reading going on, or a talk about the importance of what's going on in society about veganism, about sustainability, but make it fun, make it good. And we want it to become a place where people actually want to be. And so that's the big picture for us. And we'll probably, we aim to build more on the product side of things into scents and stuff like that. That's another angle we want to look at. So yeah, we've got a lot of big ideas that we're
good stuff
spinning around. Yeah.
And I really love the thought of, wow, we need another story. So this next bag, what's the story and the bag are co-created.
Yeah, that will always be the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's really, and it is just, honestly, it's such a joy when you know, I worked a lot in production before starting this business, and there's nothing quite exciting as getting up every day and knowing you're making something that you yourself would like to see. Like that's, you know, they say do what you love, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that. I feel like with the opportunity to create something and getting to see people actually enjoy that and wear it, and knowing that I'm also adding another creative element to it with the erotic stories, it's just like my dreams come true in being able to do all of that.
Natalie, thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Beth.
This was
lovely
great.
to speak to you.
You too. To learn more about Natalie and Frida Rome, go to our website, speciesunite.com. We will have links to everything. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Species Unite. If you have a spare moment and could do us a favor, please subscribe, rate, review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. It really helps people find the show. If you'd like to support the podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. Go to our website, speciesunite.com, and click donate. I would like to thank everyone at Species Unite, including Gary Knutson, Caitlin Pierce, Amy Jones, Paul Healy, Santina Polke, Ayana Peoples, and Anna Kalner, who wrote and performed today's music. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day.